Welcome to the YCNU podcast. Join us each week for engaging conversations with campus leaders, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and community members. From academics to athletics, campus life, and beyond, we cover it all. Have someone you want to hear from? Let us know. Let's explore the world of Yavapai College together.
Hello, I'm Cadu Medina, your host for today's episode, and I'm here with Tim Hall, Yavapai College Art Galleries. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, how are you doing, Cadu?
It's so good to talk to you.
You too.
It's a very quiet and inspiring environment where we're recording this podcast right now. I see art all over me, all over us.
Yeah, and this is where I spend most of my time. So it's a nice environment. It's a serene,
really nice office that you have.
It is. And it's just a place where any Yavapai College student or staff or faculty can come down and sit around and hang out. And you can even talk to us about art if you want to.
Wonderful.
It's kind of a nice respite from everything else going on in the world right now.
It sure is. Mm-hmm. Let's get into it. Let's start with you. Tell me about you a little bit. Give me a little bit of that background and about the Prescott Art Galleries.
Yeah, so I'm actually from Prescott. I grew up here in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. Went to Prescott High School, and for a while I went to Yavapai here, and it was really in a Yavapai College class, humanities class, that I got inspired by art and the artistic history and artistic tradition.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then I went ahead and went on to ASU and had a career as a writer and a journalist for a long time in Tucson. And I still do write guidebooks for moon guides. I write the moon guide for Arizona, and I write other moon guides about the Southwest. And when I moved back up here from Tucson in 2017, I kind of retired as a journalist and was looking for something new to do. And I started taking art classes here. And I got really into printmaking, and one thing led to another, and I took over running the art gallery in 2022. And then just this year, 2025, I have become the full-time manager of all of Yavapai College's galleries, and I work for the art department doing events and other things.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's such a full circle story there.
Yeah,
That's
it is
super
a little
cool.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, from taking art classes here, like early in the days, then coming back and more art classes. And then here you are in the art galleries.
And Yavapai College, too, was actually pretty important to my family when I was a child here. My mother was a nurse, and she got her nursing, her RN certificate or whatever here. And then she actually taught here part-time. And we used to go and swim in the big pool that they had here when I was a kid. And so it's always been part of my life, Yavapai College. So when I moved back to town, it was very natural for me to start coming over here and then eventually to work here, because this is really where everybody who is interested in the kind of things that I like is going to be in Prescott. You know what I mean? Art and literature and stuff. That's what you find here.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Let's talk about the galleries a little bit here.
Right.
Tell us about what is the mission and vision of the Yavapai College Art Galleries, and how does it foster that inclusivity and community engagement? Because I know we're all about that, right? And I feel like this art gallery has so many opportunities to promote that, to create opportunities for that engagement with our community, with our students and staff, faculty. Tell me a little bit about that mission. What goes on here?
Well, when you talk about that kind of thing, you're talking about the mission of art itself, in my mind, that art, the one thing that art does is focus on inclusivity and community, because it depicts either real life situations or dream situations or fantastical things that we all recognize and understand. And so it brings, there's a lot of opportunity for community making around art. So just in general, when you have a space that's dedicated to art, you're going to get those things, unless you're trying to keep people out, which we are not trying to do. But what the Yavapai College Art Galleries do is our first goal is to be sort of the face of what we do in the art department here at Yavapai College. And we have a really excellent art department here with state-of-the-art studios and just equipment that you can really basically do any kind of art that you want to do here and make it come out in a very professional and excellent way. And so we want to reflect that in what we show in the gallery. So we have 2 student shows every year that are juried. And that means they're people submit and they're chosen. And generally, by generally, we get a professional artist or professional art world figure to judge those shows, so that the students can really see what it's like to be a working artist, and they can sell their pieces in their shows as well.
Wow.
And they do often. So we do 2 of those every year. They're called our juried student shows. We do one in the fall and one in the spring. And those are really our flagship exhibitions because they show what we can do in this art department.
Right.
And it's always very impressive. And I would say our other most important show is our faculty show, which is our show which is up right now. We have a really excellent faculty here and in the at the Verde Valley campus. And they're all working professional artists who are just sort of doing really excellent work and pushing boundaries and showing skill and just doing all the things that artists do for us,
right.
And so every year we have, it moves around a little bit, but this year we're having it in the spring in conjunction with Fiddler on the Roof, which is in our sister here next door.
Right, the PAC.
Right. And
Performance Arts
we're
Center.
always open for all the performances. So people come in here and then they come in during the intermission and stuff. So it's great. It's great. We have an excellent partnership with them over there.
Yeah, which, by the way, you were talking earlier here that we have more than just one art gallery, right? We have this one that we're talking about right now in Prescott, right, adjacent here to the YC PAC, the Performance Arts Center. But there's also in the Verde Valley.
Yeah, we have an excellent little gallery in the Verde Valley, at the Verde Valley campus, which is managed by Molly Borsum, who's
in
excellent in Clarkdale. Exactly. It's quite a bit smaller, but really just a great space. I was actually down there last night, and they had quite a big crowd, and they put on, I think it's 4 or 5 exhibitions every year, including a student show. And it's actually a place, if you go over there when we're open over there, it's a great place to stop when you're in the Verde Valley.
Perfect.
The whole campus there is actually really nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's spots in that campus that I feel like they're an art project.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every time I go down there, I just want to hang out like outside or whatever. Right? It's nice.
It's so beautiful. All the campuses. So is all the art that is displayed here by students and staff and faculty?
No. So those are 3 shows that we do every year. Those are kind of our the ones that we absolutely do every year. Here at this gallery at the Prescott Gallery, we do 8 every year.
Okay.
So we
8
do,
shows every year.
So we do 2 student shows, a faculty show, and then we do something that we just got done with, which is just a favorite of everybody who works here, is what's called a Young Artists Showcase.
Okay.
And what that is we solicit the best work from local high school artists.
Oh.
So we have, we just recently, last month, had our show with them, and we had about 70 pieces in here from high schoolers from Prescott, from Phoenix, from Orem, from Prescott Valley, and it was just a really beautiful, wonderful show. The talent of young people as it
Right.
reflects into art is just always amazing to me. It's just like, and so
Yeah.
few people go on to actually be artists, but at some point when somebody's like 15 or 16 and they're artistic, it seems like they're so powerful and they can do
Right.
so much stuff because they haven't been kind of beat down by people telling them what they can and cannot do and stuff. And so that show is always very fresh and exciting. And then at the end of that show, we have this thing called Experience the Arts, which we bring those same high schoolers over here and we have them go into all of our studio spaces and do art projects with our faculty. And then
Wow.
and we expose them to sort of the next step in their art making,
That's super
getting
awesome.
them excited. Yeah. So we just had about 100 of them in here last week, and it was really inspiring.
Yeah, this is a wonderful way how the galleries serve our community here as an educational space for students, and almost it's a cultural resource for Prescott because there aren't that many galleries here, so we're that prominent in one. Is there any other kind of partnerships that we have with other organizations in town, like the school districts from other parts of our county, or any other, cultural organizations in town that we offer this space here for them to display their work? And
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
because we have theaters, we have other things going on here. Do we collaborate with those too?
Yeah. So just this year, our first show of the year was a collaboration with the Yavapai College Performing Arts Department, where we showed a bunch of the sort of costumes and props that they've made over the years, kind of a run up to this exciting show that they're having right now, Fiddler on the Roof, which Dave, who is playing Tevye in that, was very well represented in our show, in our exhibition, as the maker of many of the props in the other shows. So the guy who's the star of the show is also making many of the sets as well and designing them, which I think is so impressive.
And it's something that I think most people don't even know.
No, I don't think they know that, but I tell everybody that. So
I remember walking in here and seeing some of the props that were displayed from Phantom and just being really kind of incredibly impressed with the craftsmanship, available, and good to know. So that was one of the crew members that actually designed some of those things.
Yeah, Dave. He's amazing.
How are the artists and works selected for the gallery exhibitions? And the role, hang on a second, let me just start over here. I didn't ask the question correctly. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, Tim, how are the artists and works selected for the gallery's exhibitions, and what role do the students and faculty play in this process? Like, do they participate? Do you get suggestions from everyone? How do you select the work that's going to be up on the walls here?
So it varies by exhibition, but for the most part, all of our shows are what's called juried. We take submissions from a bunch of people, and then we either use a gallery committee or we hire a professional artist that is a friend of the gallery and that we've worked with before, and they will go through and choose all the works. Sometimes we will advertise who the juror is if it's a big show, a national show, because people will submit to that because they want to be jurred by that artist. We have a couple artists here at Yavapai College who have recognizable names, in the art world. And so, but typically what it is like, say, our spring juried student exhibition. So we have 2 student exhibitions every year. We have one in the spring and one in the fall, and they're both juried. And recently we've had some really great artists judging the student exhibitions. And we just recently chose all the artists we have on our most recent spring juried student exhibition, which opens May 16th and goes to July 6th. We used the jurors Ann Ramsey and Adrian Buffington, who are both with Prescott art docents. And we did that because we have a new relationship with the Prescott art docents where they are using our gallery every other Monday to do these really fascinating art talks on art history. And these guys, these people, these art docents who've been in Prescott for like 50 years,
Wow.
just teaching kids about art. Even when I was a kid, we were taught by them.
Teaching here
in
at
Prescott.
Yavapai College?
No,
or?
in the schools in Prescott.
Oh,
and
nice.
they've been associated with Yavapai College for a long time. We've just renewed that partnership this semester.
Right, perfect.
And so we're very close with them, and they're going to be using the gallery for a lot of things in the future, which is great because we want people who love art to use the gallery. So Anne and Adrian did a great job. They chose 88 pieces out of 160 submissions. So generally, it's about half. I mean, really, these aren't easy shows to get into.
Right.
And the point of it is to show our students what it's like to try to get into an actual real commercial gallery. You have to submit things online. The whole art world is, you don't submit things any other way. I mean, maybe 20 years ago, you would take your slides into a gallery. You just don't do that anymore. It's all done through third-party websites that specifically are, the point of them is to take submissions, know. And then it's all done online. So they look at the pictures online. So one of the challenges of this kind of submission process is getting the photos right, because if the jurors can't really see your art, then they can't really judge it. And so that's something that we struggle with because it's very difficult to take pictures of art, really good pictures. But it usually works out. And this year we've have just a fantastic show. And our shows also include, it's not just paintings. Well, that's what you would think. You think of art gallery, you think of paintings on the wall. But actually, we only have like 30 paintings in the whole show out of 88 pieces. Most of it's just this amazing jewelry, amazing wood pieces, amazing lapidary, shining up rocks and stuff.
Sure.
Pottery, all this stuff, like what we call in the art gallery 3D. So we go from 2D, which is on the walls, to 3D, which is like on pedestals and stuff. Right. So that's how we choose the jury student shows. But like we have something else going on right now, which is going to be October 3rd through November 7th. It's called Transforming Traditions, Art and Folklore in 2025. This is a show that we're working on with Dr. Susan Waldenberger, who's a professor of humanities here at YC. And she's just an expert on folklore and folk stories and things like that. And we're just fascinated by that stuff, my staff and I. And we just really are excited about this show because it's going to be one of these shows that we do a national call for artists. So what we'll do there is we'll write up a call for artists. We'll explain who we are and what we're looking for. Yeah. And Dr. Waldenberger has done that for us to kind of describe what the show is and everything. Then we put that on websites that artists go to and all over the country, right?
Wow, okay.
And then we'll get submissions throughout a couple months. Almost all of them come on the last day.
Of course.
Of course.
We're all artists,
yeah, exactly. But we keep it open for about 2 months, and then we'll probably, I would say, it would be great to get like 60 submissions, and then we would probably choose about half of those or less, depending on the size of them.
Right.
And then, since we're a small gallery, we can't really ship the things that that we want them to do. So if it's somebody in, say, back east who wants to be in our show, they will have to bring their piece out with their own money. But we've had a lot of artists do that. Last summer, we put on a really great surrealism show. It's called Southwest Surrealism, Surreal Southwest. And we had Amy Ernst, who's Max Ernst's granddaughter, Max Ernst being a very famous surrealist from the 20th century. Okay. She came out from New York and judged the show for us and everything. Wow. And we had people who were so excited about being in a show that she picked and meeting her that one young artist drove out with her piece from Indiana and then drove home and then came out again. Wow. And she was just such a lovely person. And it's just like the reason why an artist would do that is because, so this woman, she's very successful in the Midwest, right? But she can't break out of them. It's very hard to break out of your area, right? And so she gets in a show out west, and she's like, it's worth it to me to go out there because now that show is on my resume, and now I'm not just a Midwest artist, I'm a national artist, you know. Yep. So that's the incentive for artists to do that.
Yeah, I mean, this is really cool because it's not just like when you have an artist, especially from out of this area, you know, from maybe even a different country or whatever, when they have their art displayed here, there's a whole lot of activities that go around all of that, right? You have the opening, you have press releases, you have what it means to them in terms of promoting their work and being able to add that to the resume, like you said there. So that's fantastic for the gallery, for the community, and you know, for the artists, obviously, but also for the students here.
Well, that's the whole point of it.
Because they get to experience and see, you know, hands-on how this whole business, you know, is set up.
Yeah, and that's why we do it. I mean, period. I mean, I do it because I love art, but honestly, what we're doing we're doing this for the students. The gallery's for the students.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
And when Brian Robertson, the dean of the arts, came on and he brought me on as the manager, we talked a lot about this, and we decided what we wanted to do is do a lot of group shows with as many cool, interesting artists from around the country as we could get to come to Prescott, because you know, that then our students can interact with that work, and sometimes even the artists themselves, and that's an experience that, you know, you don't count on when you pay your tuition. It's just something great and extra that we're trying to offer. And so we actually have had, one of the great things about art right now is there's so much cool digital stuff. So we had a guy who, 2 years ago, we put on a big international show here. It was about music and art. It was like the combination of music and art. And we got a lot of really great submissions, including from a guy in Germany. But it was a digital musical video that he made. It was art and music together. So all he had to do was send us the file, and we showed it for a month here. And so now cool. We had an international artist, and he ended up doing something with the Museum of Modern Art in New York later.
Oh my
and so
gosh,
it was just like, wow, that's so cool that we were able to have him in our gallery. And it's just, you know, the thing about getting people like that and getting interesting artists is mostly what you got to do is just ask.
Right.
Because, you know, there's so many talented artists in the world. Like every town has like a whole bunch of older people who are super talented, a whole bunch of, you know, middle-aged people who are super talented, and then a whole bunch of younger people who are talented.
Absolutely.
That's just every single town in the world has that. Art is a human, it's part of the human condition. And honestly, everybody can do it. Every single person.
Absolutely. And again, I think I can't stress that point enough, like how important for our students here it is to have the gallery here and be involved and integrated into the whole process there, because how many artists, you know, out there are just very passionate, very capable, very talented, and just don't know how to turn that into a living, right? Like, what do I do with it? How do I promote my work? How do I sell my work? How do I make this not just my art, but also my living? And this is an opportunity for them to get a behind the scenes here into the industry, right? And how this all works.
It is. The most important lesson that I try to teach them is what I've learned over my life as a writer and an author, is that creating and then bringing your work into capitalism are two completely different things.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're two completely different skill sets. And you may not have the other one, even though you're a great artist.
I know.
And it's like, and so whatever kind of reality check we can give them, whatever kind of professional artists who've been through all this that we can give them access to, the better they're going to be prepared for when they go and try to do this and find that, you know, sometimes you're successful, most of the time you're not.
Right.
But that's the art world. I mean, it's just like, you know, have to do it for other reasons.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that goes right back to my original question here a while ago when I asked you, what is the mission and vision of the gallery and how does it align, with our Yavapai College goals and everything else? Well, there you go. We're not just teaching art, but we're preparing these artists to engage into this world, into the industry. And,
absolutely.
And, give them a good experience here while they're improving their craft.
Another thing about the gallery that's very important to me is I want to make sure that we're teaching art history too, in like that we're relating what we have in the gallery to art history. So Dr. Brandolyn Andress is our fantastic art history teacher here. And she's a really good friend of the gallery, and she's worked with us a lot. She worked with us on the Surrealism show. And I feel like the more we can be pointing out contemporary work and why it relates back to other work, I think that's always going to help. The other thing about the gallery, what we're all about, is recruitment. I mean, this is what we try to be the public face of the art department.
Right.
And so when high school kids come in there, we talk to them about what they want to do. What kind of art do you like? Oh, we have a professor here who does that kind of thing. Like and not just high school kids, but anybody who comes in. Almost everybody I talk to who comes in the gallery, I say, "Oh, what's going on? Do you do art?" "Yeah, I do art. I don't know. I would like to take some classes. I haven't done it for a while." That sets me off because I've taken most of the art classes here and I love it and it changed my life. And so I'm able to really kind of be not a recruiter, but somebody who can really talk up Yavapai College and mean it.
I love it.
So we use it as recruitment for sure.
That's perfect. Well, Tin, let's get into the future here.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about how has the gallery evolved, over its 30-year history here, and what are some of the goals for the future?
So the gallery's always been an important part of the art department, but right now it's more important than ever before. Brian Robertson, our dean, has created my position, which is galleries manager, which is really the first full-time position in the gallery for a long time.
Right.
Most of the time over the last, say, 10 or 15 years, it's been a part-time position. But Brian really wanted to bring the gallery and make it more of a part of the art department. Yeah. And so my job is to, create experiences at both galleries here and at the Verde Valley Gallery. And also we want to create more art spaces on campus where people can show their art in a less being in the actual gallery. It's a different experience than just maybe seeing some art on a wall in a hallway. You take it seriously, but the gallery, you walk into a white cube and you start thinking a different way.
Right,
you can't stop yourself because we all know. A lot of times I'll see people come into the gallery and they'll start whispering right away. And I'm just like, hey, you don't have to talk. Let's
talk. It's the library effect.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's like there's definitely a feeling you get because as Americans, we have this idea of what a gallery is. But when you create other art spaces, like we have an art space called the Level 1 art space, which is on level 1 of Building 1, and it's just in this hallway down there by the old bookstore. And it's a place where people can engage with art in a much more sort of just simple, just sort of daily way. You know what I mean? And so we're trying to get more spaces like that. We're trying to, what my goal is to have art all over the campus everywhere. I don't even like seeing a blank wall anywhere. I want art on it.
I love it.
It's just my thing. So we recently hung, this week we hung a bunch of our plein air paintings, landscape paintings from around here that people paint outdoors during our plein air festival. So plein air is basically, it's French. It means in the open, in the outdoors. And plein air painting is people take small canvases into the forest and the lakes and stuff, and then they paint right there, and they don't take it back to the studio and change it. It's very much following in the tradition of Impressionism, where you're painting the light at that moment.
Yeah.
Right. And so all over the country, they have these sort of competitions. And the biggest one in Arizona is at the Grand Canyon every year. It's called the Celebration of Art. They started, this woman, Janet, she started the Art in the Pines Prescott Plein Air Festival 6 years ago. 2 years ago, she gave it to Yavapai College. So we've been running it since then. And we're coming up on our 6th annual Plein Air Festival, which is going to be August 27th through the 31st. And then we'll have all the paintings up to the September 26th. So every year we get all the artists that we decide who are going to be in the show or in the festival. We get them to donate a painting to us. And then we auction them off. And then that money we use to give student art prizes to our students. So we actually, every time we have a student show, we give away about $1,000.
Wow. Cool.
To the students. Yeah. And sometimes we don't sell all the paintings. So we still, for 2 years, we've got some left over, and we've all hung them in the bottom of Building 32, and it just looks fantastic.
Right. Yes.
And that's what I would like to do in every single building on campus, right? I want to just and even at the Pines, like I would love to get up there and just start hanging paintings.
Oh,
but we need the paintings, we need the paintings.
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
Well, you need the channels to display the work, right?
Absolutely. But it's like,
branch out.
I see a painting that's like sitting in a gallery that's not on the wall and people aren't seeing it. And it really bothers me. It's like, this painting should be on a wall somewhere.
I love it.
You know what I mean? So that's my goal. Our other goal is that we're starting. So 20 years ago, there was a group called Friends of Yavapai College Arts. FOICA is what they call it. So it kind of went by the wayside, and now we're trying to resurrect it. We've had one meeting, and we're going to have another one next month. And hopefully by next semester, we're going to start our first fundraising event. What we've done is we've brought some people in from the community, art lovers. One of them is the mayor of town in the Verde Valley, and we've got all people from PAD, people from the gallery, all gathered together to figure out how we can get more money to make the galleries at Yavapai College better.
Right.
Because, we can't just rely on, our budget. We need extra money. This is something that the Performing Arts Center does. They get people to donate money all the time. So we're going to do that. And what we want to do is replace the lights, do all kinds of upgrades to the gallery that comes from money from the community, so that the community really buys into the gallery. And we're going to have a wall of donors. It's just going to be something where we're really trying to raise our face to the community and say, this is what the Yavapai College Art Department is all about. Come in here and celebrate art, Right. And so that's where we're going. We're moving towards just really raising our profile and trying to get the community much more involved. Yeah.
We're growing, we're expanding, we're finding more ways to display the art, bringing more artists.
And the only way that we could do that is with the creation of my position, which is somebody who is there all the time and really just focusing on it. When I was part-time, it was, we could only keep up.
Of course,
but now we're like moving forward, and I'm really excited about the next couple of years.
I love it. No, we had someone part-time driving this car. Now we have someone full-time. So yes, the only way is up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love it. Can you share details about the current exhibition and any other upcoming events or initiatives you're excited about? And then remember that this podcast is coming out around mid-May 2025, but anything in the forecast here that we need to keep our eyes out for?
Absolutely. So this is something that I'm really excited about that we just got going. So we have this sort of series that we've done over the last couple of years called One Gallery, Two Exhibitions. So the most important thing for an artist is to get a solo exhibition. Not to be in a group show, but to have your work, your name, the whole thing about you.
The whole gallery.
Well, that's the thing. So what we did is we decided what we would do is try to do 2 solo exhibitions at once, because it's hard to get a solo exhibition, right? So the more we can do, the better we can offer this to artists. So what we do is we put our Mila movable walls down the center of the gallery, and we give half to one guy and half to the other. And everything is very distinct. You can tell that these are two different things.
Okay,
right?
Two rooms.
Yeah, basically. And so we did a national call, and we found two great artists. This our newest One Gallery 2 exhibitions is going to be July 10th through August 21st. Okay. And the two artists are William Root and Matthew Corey. So William Root is this just really cool guy that I've met recently. I actually bought one of his pieces because I just love his work so much. He has a studio up in Jerome, and he lives over in Sedona, but he spent 35 years overseas in Belgium as a teacher of art. And he's recently moved back over here in 2017, and he's never lived in the Southwest. And he started hiking, and he got really into looking at rocks. And then he started doing these just amazing abstract paintings based on the rocks. And I just thought this was such a fascinating proposal because it really shows somebody reacting anew to the Southwest. And I think that to me, I've been in the Southwest my whole life, and I wish that I could go away and come back and experience it new. You know what I mean? And I just love that proposal. So, and his work is just amazing. So that's half the gallery.
Okay.
And during that show, I'm going to interview him in the gallery. We're inviting everybody to come, and I'm going to interview him in front of an audience, and he's going to talk about what it's like to be an expat artist and what it was like all those years living in Europe as an expat. And he's been a very successful artist in Europe. He's had tons of solo shows in Paris, stuff like that. I mean, he's
incredible experience.
He's the real deal, right? And so that should be very interesting because if you ever had these romantic notions about being an expat, he says he can fulfill those romantic notions, but also disabuse you of those as well, because there are some things that aren't great about it, you know? So I'm really looking forward to that.
And these are open to public, students, everybody, right?
Everything that we do at the gallery is free and open to the public. Everything.
That's important. Okay. Free and open to everyone.
You might, sometimes we have a cash bar, so you bring some money if you want to get a glass of wine. But otherwise, everything is free. We don't charge for anything in the gallery. Yeah. And then the other guy that we're going to have is a guy from Washington, an artist named Matthew Corey. This is extremely interesting because it has a Prescott connection. So his ancestor is this woman named Kate Corey, who is a pretty famous Prescott artist here. She lived here in the early 20th century. She painted a lot of Western or kind of Native American art. And she actually lived up in Hopi for a long time and took a lot of photographs of Hopi, which you can't do anymore. You can't photograph Hopi. You haven't been able to photograph up there for a really long time. But she has her book, which I have, is just fascinating. It's her really kind of one of the last people who took photos up there, maybe. I'm not sure. But she's just this woman who was an artist and a traveler and a writer and lived on an Indian reservation on top of a mesa in the early 20s. I mean, she's just amazing, right?
Wow.
And her paintings, you see them all over town. There's some at the library. There's some at the Indigenous Peoples Museum. And her home still stands over, it's over as you're going up to Thumb Butte, over by the, Idlewild. It's over by Idlewild, but it still stands. It's this stone house, really cool house. And so that's one of his ancestors, Matthew Corey. And his whole proposal is about how throughout, for the last 150 years, all of his ancestors have been artists, writers, or musicians.
Man, that's
everybody in his family.
It's a whole family of misfits.
It really is. And so his whole show is he's painted portraits of these ancestors of him and then put some of their work in it too. And it's just all about him and his incredibly, talented family. And I just thought that was awesome.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Because, not some people. A lot of people do come from very talented families, but then there's some of us who are like I'm the only one in my family who wasn't a construction worker, basically.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
totally.
it's like this kind of thing seems rare to me, Matthew Corey's family.
Yeah.
So especially on the frontier, which they were. I mean, they're Westerners. So we're gonna do him. He's gonna come down, and either him or I are going to give a talk about about Kate Corey and about her connections to Prescott. So I just think this summer, that July 10th through August 21st.
Oh, that's going to be great.
It's just going to be really cool. And we're going to have a couple different openings. We're going to have some music. Maybe we'll get you to play for us over there. It's just going to be great. And I know that's kind of a slow time, but I'm really hoping that people come out and support these guys because it's just going to be a great show.
Well, we will do a really good job at promoting all of this because we need to get this info out.
Yeah, that's always a struggle for us. It's getting all the information out. We do everything we can, but there's so much going on all the time. Things can Yeah,
but this is truly special. Well, Tim, anything else we left behind? We've been talking here for almost 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
There's so much to talk about this gallery in it. I feel really privileged to have you kind of share all this info with us because I feel like, we don't talk enough about the wonderful things that we have going on in all our campuses, and the art galleries are, some of them.
Every once in a while we get somebody come down and they're like, I didn't even know this was here.
Right. I hear that so often.
Please just tell all your friends. Yeah.
It's terrible, but hopefully we can make a dent here and make this a little bit more out there in public.
We just say, come down to the gallery, come see us, come talk to us. Bring your lunch, sit there with us.
Yes.
We play some jazz all the time. It's a nice environment. It's usually pretty quiet, even though there's usually people in there. So it's just a good place to come, and we want to see you.
What are the hours?
We are open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Saturday. But we're also open for all the performances at the Jim and Linda Lee Performing Arts Center. And so say they have something coming up Friday, we'll be open from 6:30 until the show starts.
Oh,
and then
that's cool.
And then we're open during the intermission.
That's perfect.
Yeah. In fact, that's really our partnership with the Performing Arts Center is integral to everything we do because we really get the most people seeing our art during the times when they have shows that are really popular. And so we work with them very closely, and they're just amazing people over there.
Yeah.
And so anytime that you have a ticket to go see one of the bands over there or anything,
stop by the gallery.
Come in the gallery and see us because we'll be open.
I love it. That building is just incredible. One of my
really
favorite places in the county,
Me
period.
too.
It's just so amazing.
They used to have the art studios in the basement of that building. In the 90s, in the early 90s when I took painting classes here, it was in the basement of the PAC. And then they moved it up to building 1 at some point. Yeah.
And also this week even, I just grabbed my coffee and I went for a little coffee break just to get my thoughts together. I went to that little park right next to the PAC building.
Yeah.
And there had
the sculpture garden.
The sculpture garden.
Yeah.
I love it. That place
the sculpture garden is underused. It is an amazing place. So when I was talking before about Friends of Yavapai College Arts, the previous group, they're the ones that put that together 20 years ago. And then I don't know, they disbanded or whatever. So that we're starting that group again.
Right.
And so that was a gift to the campus from that group. And what we're doing now is I've hired a great local photographer and friend of the gallery, Dale Odell. He's retaking all the photos of that. And we are redoing the guidebook to the sculpture garden in color. And we're going to start a program where we're going to try to get more people to come over and check it out because it's amazing.
That's another place.
It's a great place to just chill too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No, and you have all the pathways, you have benches everywhere and art displayed in every corner of it. It's just incredible that it's just tucked right there in the corner of our Prescott campus.
We need to start having more events over there because it's just such a great place. Yeah.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for your time here with me today. I really learned a lot. I hope that we got to share a lot of good information about the work that you're doing there, the art galleries and the plans for the future. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
I really hope
we
that people
appreciate
come
what
in.
you're doing too.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
thanks so much.
It is my pleasure to share with our audience here some of my favorite places
Nice.
around Yavapai College. The art gallery is definitely one of them, and the
Great.
PAC and everybody else in that corner. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to the YCNU podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today. Don't forget to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got someone in mind for our next chat? Reach out and let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you next week.